Scene 3.
But here is Haemon, king, the last of all your sons. Is it grief for Antigone that brings him here, and bitterness at being robbed of his bride?
Enter Haemon.
We shall soon see, and no need of diviners. Son, you have heard my final judgment on that girl. Have you come here hating me, or have you come with deference and with love, whatever I do?
I am your son, Father. You are my guide. You make things clear for me, and I obey you. No marriage means more to me than your continuing wisdom.
Good. That is the way to behave. Subordinate everything else, my son, to your father's will. This is what a man prays for, that he may get sons attentive and dutiful in his house, each one hating his father's enemies, honoring his father's friends. But if his sons fail him, if they turn out unprofitably, what has he fathered but trouble for himself and amusement for the malicious? So you are right not to lose your head over this woman. Your pleasure with her would soon grow cold, Haemon, and then you'd have a hell-cat in bed and elsewhere. Let her find her husband in hell. Of all the people in this city, only she has had contempt for my law and broken it. Do you want me to show myself weak before the people, or to break my sworn word? No, and I will not. The woman dies. I suppose she'll plead family ties. Well, let her. If I permit my own family to rebel, how shall I earn the world's obedience? Show me the man who keeps his house in hand. He's fit for public authority. I'll have no dealings with lawbreakers, critics of the government. Whoever is chosen to govern should be obeyed, must be obeyed, in all things, great and small, just and unjust. O Haemon, the man who knows how to obey, and that man only, knows how to give commands when the time comes. You can depend on him, no matter how fast the spears come. He's a good soldier. He'll stick it out. Anarchy, anarchy. Show me a greater evil. This is why cities tumble and the great houses rain down. This is what scatters armies. No, no. Good lives are made so by discipline. We keep the laws then, and the lawmakers, and no woman shall seduce us. If we must lose, let's lose to a man at least. Is a woman stronger than we?
Unless time has rusted my wits, what you say, king, is said with point and dignity.
Father, reason is God's crowning gift to man, and you are right to warn me against losing mine. I cannot say, I hope that I shall never want to say that you have reasoned badly. Yet there are other men who can reason too, and their opinions might be helpful. You are not in a position to know everything that people say or do or what they feel. Your temper terrifies them. Everyone will tell you only what you like to hear. But I, at any rate, can listen. And I have heard them muttering and whispering in the dark about this girl. They say no woman has ever so unreasonably died so shameful a death for a generous act. She covered her brother's body. Is this indecent? She kept him from dogs and vultures. Is this a crime? Death? She should have all the honor that we can give her. This is the way they talk out there in the city. You must believe me. Nothing is closer to me than your happiness. What could be closer? Must not any son value his father's fortune as his father does his? I beg you, do not be unchangeable. Do not believe that you alone can be right. The man who thinks that, the man who maintains that only he has the power to reason correctly, the gift to speak, the soul, a man like that, when you know him, turns out empty. It is not reason never to yield to reason. In flood time, you can see how some trees bend, and because they bend, even their twigs are safe, while stubborn trees are torn up, roots and all. And the same thing happens in sailing. Make your sheet fast, never slacken, and over you go, head over heels and under, and there's your voyage. Forget you are angry. Let yourself be moved. I know I am young, but please let me say this. The ideal condition would be, I admit, that men should be right by instinct. But since we are all too likely to go astray, the reasonable thing is to learn from those who can teach.
You will do well to listen to him, King, if what he says is sensible. And you, Heman, must listen to your father. Both speak well.
You consider it right for a man of my years and experience to go to school to a boy?
It is not right if I am wrong, but if I am young and right, what does my age matter?
You think it right to stand up for an anarchist?
Not at all. I pay no respect to criminals.
Then she is not a criminal?
The city would deny it to a man.
And the city proposes to teach me how to rule?
Ah, who is it that's talking like a boy now?
My voice is the one voice giving orders in this city.
It is no city if it takes orders from one voice.
The state is the king.
Yes, if the state is a desert.
This boy, it seems, has sold out to a woman.
If you are a woman, my concern is only for you.
So, your concern in a public brawl with your father?
How about you in a public brawl with justice?
With justice, when all that I do is within my rights?
You have no right to trample on God's rights.
Fool! Adolescent fool! Taken in by a woman.
You'll never see me taken in by anything vile.
Every word you say is for her.
And for you, and for me, and for the gods under the earth.
You'll never marry her while she lives.
Then she must die. But her death will cause another.
Another? Have you lost your senses? Is this an open threat?
There is no threat in speaking to emptiness.
I swear you'll regret this superior tone of yours. You are the empty one.
If you were not my father, I'd say you were perverse.
You girl-struck fool, don't play at words with me.
I am sorry. You prefer silence.
Now, by God, I swear by all the gods in heaven above us, you'll watch it. I swear you shall. Bring her out. Bring the woman out. Let her die before his eyes. Here, this instant, with her bridegroom beside her.
Not here, no. She will not die here, King. And you will never see my face again. Go on raving as long as you've a friend to endure you.
Exit Heman.
Gone, gone. Creon, a young man in a rage, is dangerous.
Let him do, or dream to do, more than a man can. He shall not save these girls from death.
These girls? You have sentenced them both?
No, you are right. I will not kill the one whose hands are clean.
But Antigone?
I will carry her far away, out there in the wilderness, and lock her living in a vault of stone. She shall have food, as the custom is, to absolve the state of her death. And there let her pray to the gods of hell. They are her only gods. Perhaps they will show her an escape from death, or she may learn, though late, that piety shown the dead is pity in vain.
Exit Creon. Ode 3.
Love, unconquerable waster of rich men, keeper of warm lights and all-night vigil in the soft face of a girl.
Sea wanderer, forest visitor.
Even the pure immortals cannot escape you, and mortal man in his one day's dusk trembles before your glory.
Surely you swerve upon ruin the just man's consenting heart, as here you have made bright anger strike between father and son.
And none has conquered but love.
A girl's glance working the will of heaven. Pleasure to her alone who mocks us, merciless Aphrodite.
Scene 4.
But I can no longer stand in awe of this, nor, seeing what I see, keep back my tears. Here is Antigone, passing to that chamber where all find sleep at last.
Look upon me, friends, and pity me turning back at the night's edge to say goodbye to the sun that shines for me no longer. Now sleepy death summons me down to Acheron, that cold shore. There is no bride song there, nor any music.
Yet not unpraised, not without a kind of honor, You walk at last into the underworld.
Untouched by sickness, broken by no sword.
What woman has ever found your way to death?
How often I have heard the story of Niobe, Tantalus' wretched daughter, how the stone clung fast about her, ivy close, and they say the rain falls endlessly, and sifting soft snow, her tears are never done. I feel the loneliness of her death in mine.
But she was born of heaven, and you are woman, woman-born.
If her death is yours, a mortal woman's, is this not for you glory in our world and in the world beyond?
You laugh at me. Ah, friends, friends, can you not wait until I am dead? O Thebes, O men many charioted in love with fortune, dear springs of Dirce, sacred Theban grove, be witnesses for me, denied all pity, unjustly judged, and think a word of love for her whose path turns under dark earth, where there are no more tears.
You have passed beyond human daring, and come at last into a place of stone where justice sits. I cannot tell what shape of your father's guilt appears in this.
You have touched it at last, that bridal bed unspeakable, horror of son and mother mingling, their crime, infection of all our family. Oh, Oedipus, father and brother, your marriage strikes from the grave to murder mine. I have been a stranger here in my own land. All my life the blasphemy of my birth has followed me.
Reverence is a virtue, but strength lives in established law. That must prevail. You have made your choice. Your death is the doing of your conscious hand.
Then let me go, since all your words are bitter, and the very light of the sun is cold to me. Lead me to my vigil, where I must have neither love nor lamentation, no song but silence.
If dirges and planned lamentations could put off death, men would be singing forever. Take her, go. You know your orders. Take her to the vault and leave her alone there. And if she lives or dies, that's her affair, not ours. Our hands are clean.
O tomb, vaulted bride bed in eternal rock, soon I shall be with my own again, where Persephone welcomes the thin ghosts underground. And I shall see my father again, and you, mother, and dearest Polynices, dearest indeed to me, since it was my hand that washed him clean and poured the ritual wine, and my reward is death before my time. And yet, as men's hearts know, I have done no wrong. I have not sinned before God. Or if I have, I shall know the truth in death. But if the guilt lies upon Creon who judged me, then I pray may his punishment equal my own.
O passionate heart, unyielding, tormented still by the same winds.
Her guards shall have good cause to regret their delaying.
Ah, that voice is like the voice of death.
I can give you no reason to think you are mistaken.
Thebes, and you, my father's gods, and rulers of Thebes, you see me now, the last unhappy daughter of a line of kings, your kings, led away to death. You will remember what things I suffer and at what men's hands, because I would not transgress the laws of heaven. Come, let us wait no longer.
Exit Antigone left, guarded. Ode 4.
All Danae's beauty was locked away in a brazen cell where the sunlight could not come.
A small room, still as any grave, enclosed her.
Yet she was a princess too, and Zeus in a rain of gold poured love upon her.
O child, child, no power in wealth or war or tough sea-blackened ships can prevail against untiring destiny.
And Dryas' son also, that furious king, bore the gods' prisoning anger for his pride.
Sealed up by Dionysus in deaf stone, his madness died among echoes.
So at the last he learned what dreadful power his tongue had mocked.
For he had profaned the rebels and fired the wrath of the 9 implacable sisters that love the sound of the flute.
And old men tell a half-remembered tale of horror done where a dark ledge splits the sea and a double surf beats on the grey shores.
How a king's new woman, sick with hatred for the queen he had imprisoned, ripped out his 2 sons' eyes with her bloody hands, while grinning Ares watched the shuttle plunge 4 times.
4 blind wounds crying for revenge, crying, tears and blood mingled. Piteously born, those sons whose mother was of heavenly birth. Her father was the god of the north wind, and she was cradled by gales.
She raced with young colts on the glittering hills and walked untrammeled in the open light.
But in her marriage, deathless fate found means to build a tomb like yours for all her joy.
Scene 5. Enter blind Tiresias, led by a boy. The opening speeches of Tiresias should be in sing-song contrast to the realistic lines of Creon.
This is the way the blind man comes. Princes, princes, lockstep, 2 heads lit by the eyes of one.
What new thing have you to tell us, old Tiresias?
I have much to tell you. Listen to the prophet Creon.
I am not aware that I have ever failed to listen.
Then you have done wisely, king, and ruled well.
I admit my debt to you, but what have you to say?
This, Creon, you stand once more on the edge of fate.
What do you mean? Your words are a kind of dread.
Listen, Creon. I was sitting in my chair of augury at the place where the birds gather about me. They were all a chatter, as is their habit, when suddenly I heard a strange note in their jangling, a scream, a whirring fury. I knew that they were fighting, tearing each other, dying in a whirlwind of wings clashing, and I was afraid. I began the rites of burnt offering at the altar, but Hephaestus failed me. Instead of bright flame, there was only the sputtering slime of the fat thigh flesh melting. The entrails dissolved in grey smoke. The bare bone burst from the welter, and no blaze. This was a sign from heaven. My boy described it, seeing for me as I see for others. I tell you, Creon, you yourself have brought this new calamity upon us. Our hearths and altars are stained with the corruption of dogs and carrion birds that glut themselves on the corpse of Oedipus's son. The gods are deaf when we pray to them. Their fire recoils from our offering. Their birds of omen have no cry of comfort, for they are gorged with the thick blood of the dead. Oh, my son, these are no trifles. Think. All men make mistakes, but a good man yields when he knows his course is wrong and repairs the evil. The only crime is pride. Give in to the dead man, then. Do not fight with a corpse. What glory is it to kill a man who is dead? Think, I beg you. It is for your own good that I speak as I do. You should be able to yield for your own good.
It seems that prophets have made me their especial province. All my life long I have been a kind of butt for the dull arrows of doddering fortune-tellers. No, Tiresias. If your birds, if the great eagles of God himself, should carry him stinking bit by bit to heaven, I would not yield. I am not afraid of pollution. No man can defile the gods. Do what you will. Go into business, make money, Speculate in India gold, or that synthetic gold from Sardis. Get rich otherwise than by my consent to bury him. Tiresias, it is a sorry thing when a wise man sells his wisdom, lets out his words for hire.
Ah, Creon, is there no man left in the world?
To do what? Come, let's have the aphorism.
No man who knows that wisdom outweighs any wealth?
As surely as bribes are baser than any baseness.
You are sick, Creon. You are deathly sick.
As you say, it is not my place to challenge a prophet.
Yet you have said my prophecy is for sale.
The generation of prophets has always loved gold.
The generation of kings has always loved brass.
You forget yourself. You are speaking to your king.
I know it. You are a king because of me.
You have a certain skill, but you have sold out.
King, you will drive me to words that...
Say them, say them. Only remember, I will not pay you for them.
No, you will find them too costly.
No doubt. Speak. Whatever you say, you will not change my will.
Then take this, and take it to heart. The time is not far off when you shall pay back corpse for corpse, flesh of your own flesh. You have thrust the child of this world into living night. You have kept from the gods below the child that is theirs. The one in a grave before her death, the other dead, denied the grave. This is your crime, and the furies and the dark gods of hell are swift with terrible punishment for you. Do you want to buy me now, Creon? Not many days, and your house will be full of men and women weeping, and curses will be hurled at you from far cities grieving for sons unburied, left to rot before the walls of Thebes. These are my arrows, Creon. They are all for you. But come, child, lead me home. Let him waste his fine anger upon younger men. Maybe he will learn at last to control a wiser tongue in a better head.
Exit Tiresias.
The old man has gone, king, but his words remain to plague us. I am old too, but I cannot remember that he was ever false.
That is true. It troubles me. Oh, it is hard to give in. But it is worse to risk everything for stubborn pride.
Creon, take my advice.
What shall I do?
Go quickly, free Antigone from her vault, and build a tomb for the body of Polynices.
You would have me do this?
Creon, yes, and it must be done at once. God moves swiftly to cancel the folly of stubborn men.
It is hard to deny the heart. But I will do it. I will not fight with destiny.
You must go yourself. You cannot leave it to others.
I will go. Bring axes, servants. Come with me to the tomb. I buried her. I will set her free. Oh, quickly. My mind misgives. The laws of the gods are mighty, and a man must serve them to the last day of his life.
Exit Creon. Paean.
God of many names.
O Iacoson of Cadmean Semele, O born of the thunder,
Guardian of the West,
regent of Eleusis' plain,
O Prince of Maenad Thebes and the dragon field by ripping Ismenus,
God of many names.
the flame of torches flares on our hills.
the nymphs of Iacchus dance at the spring of Castalia.
From the vine-close mountain, come, come in ivy. Evohe! Evohe!
Sings through the streets of Thebes.
God of many names.
Iacchus of Thebes, heavenly child of Semele, bride of the thunderer.
The shadow of plague is upon us.
Come with clement feet, oh, come from Parnassus.
Down the long slopes, across the lamenting water.
Io fire, chorister of the throbbing stars, O purest among the voices of the night, thou Son of God, blaze for us.
come with choric rapture of circling maenads who cry, Io Iake, God of many names.
Exodus. Enter messenger.
Men of the line of Cadmus, you who live near Amphion's citadel, I cannot say of any condition of human life, this is fixed, this is clearly good or bad. Fate raises up, and fate casts down the happy and unhappy alike. No man can foretell his fate. Take the case of Creon. Creon was happy once, as I count happiness, victorious in battle, sole governor of the land, fortunate father of children nobly born. And now it has all gone from him. Who can say that a man is still alive when his life's joy fails? He is a walking dead man. Grant him rich. Let him live like a king in his great house. If his pleasure is gone, I would not give so much as the shadow of smoke for all he owns.
Your words hint at sorrow. What is your news for us?
They are dead. The living are guilty of their death.
Who is guilty? Who is dead? Speak!
Haemon. Haemon is dead, and the hand that killed him is his own hand.
His father's or his own?
His own, driven mad by the murder his father had done.
Tiresias, Tiresias, how clearly you saw it all.
This is my news. You must draw what conclusions you can from it.
But look, Eurydice, our queen. Has she overheard us?
Enter Eurydice from the palace, center.
I have heard something, friends. As I was unlocking the gate of Pallas' shrine, for I needed her help today, I heard a voice telling of some new sorrow, and I fainted there at the temple with all my maidens about me. But speak again. Whatever it is, I can bear it. Grief and I are no strangers.
Dearest lady, I will tell you plainly all that I have seen. I shall not try to comfort you. What is the use? Since comfort could lie only in what is not true. The truth is always best. I went with Creon to the outer plain where Polynices was lying, no friend to pity him, his body shredded by dogs. We made our prayers in that place to Hecate and Pluto, that they would be merciful. And we bathed the corpse with holy water, and we brought fresh broken branches to burn what was left of it, and upon the urn we heaped up a towering barrow of the earth of his own land. When we were done, we ran to the vault where Antigone lay on her couch of stone. One of the servants had gone ahead, and while he was yet far off, he heard a voice, grieving within the chamber, and he came back and told Creon. And as the king went closer, the air was full of wailing, the words lost, and he begged us to make all haste. Am I a prophet, he said, weeping, and must I walk this road, the saddest of all that I have gone before? My son's voice calls me on. Oh, quickly, quickly! Look through the crevice there, and tell me if it is Haemon or some deception of the gods. We obeyed, and in the cavern's farthest corner we saw her lying. She had made a noose of her fine linen veil, and hanged herself. Haemon lay beside her, his arms about her waist, lamenting her, his love lost underground, crying out that his father had stolen her away from him. When Creon saw him, the tears rushed to his eyes, and he called to him, "What have you done, child? Speak to me. What are you thinking that makes your eyes so strange? Oh, my son, I come to you on my knees." But Haemon spat in his face. He said not a word, staring, and suddenly drew his sword and lunged. Creon shrank back. The blade missed, and the boy, desperate against himself, drove it half its length into his own side and fell. And as he died, he gathered Antigone close in his arms again, choking, his blood bright red on her white cheek. And now he lies dead with the dead, and she is his at last, his bride in the houses of the dead.
Exit Eurydice into the palace.
She has left us without a word. What can this mean?
It troubles me, too. Yet she knows what is best. Her grief is too great for public lamentation, and doubtless she has gone to her chamber to weep for her dead son, leading her maidens in his dirge.
It may be so, but I fear this deep silence.
I will see what she is doing. I will go in.
Exit messenger into the palace. Enter Creon with attendants bearing Haemon's body.
But here is the king himself. Oh, look at him, bearing his own damnation in his arms.
Nothing you say can touch me any more. My own blind heart has brought me from darkness to final darkness. Here you see the father murdering, the murdered son, and all my civic wisdom. Heman, my son, so young to die. I was the fool, not you, and you died for me.
That is the truth. But you were late in learning it.
This truth is hard to bear. Surely a god has crushed me beneath the hugest weight of heaven, and driven me headlong a barbaric way to trample out the thing I held most dear. The pains that men will take to come to pain.
Enter messenger from the palace.
The burden you carry in your hands is heavy, but it is not all. You will find more in your house.
What burden worse than this shall I find there?
The queen is dead.
O port of death, deaf world, is there no pity for me? And you, angel of evil, I was dead, and your words are death again. Is it true, boy? Can it be true? Is my wife dead? Has death bred death?
You can see for yourself.
Oh, pity. All true. All true. And more than I can bear. Oh, my wife, my son.
She stood before the altar, and her heart welcomed the knife her own hand guided. And a great cry burst from her lips for Megarius dead, and for Heman dead, her sons. And her last breath was a curse for their father, the murderer of her sons. And she fell, and the dark flowed in through her closing eyes.
Oh God, I am sick with fear. Are there no swords here? Has no one a blow for me?
Her curse is upon you for the deaths of both.
It is right that it should be. I alone am guilty. I know it, and I say it. Lead me in, quickly, friends. I have neither life nor substance. Lead me in.
You are right. If there can be right in so much wrong, the briefest way is best in a world of sorrow.
Let it come, let death come quickly, and be kind to me. I would not ever see the sun again.
All that will come when it will. But we, meanwhile, have much to do. Leave the future to itself.
All my heart was in that prayer.
Then do not pray any more. The sky is deaf.
Lead me away. I have been rash and foolish. I have killed my son and my wife. I look for comfort. My comfort lies here, dead. Whatever my hands have touched has come to nothing. Fate has brought all my pride to a thought of dust.
As Creon is being led into the house, the Choragus advances and speaks directly to the audience.
There is no happiness where there is no wisdom. No wisdom but in submission to the gods. Big words are always punished, and proud men in old age learn to be wise.